Hello and welcome back to Maski Mila Learning and Maski TV, South Africa and the whole world. We are here yet again with our very own grade 8 learners. Today we are focusing still on geometry of 2D shapes, but only in construction to make sure that we can construct. Usually I had some learners saying they thought construction were only for when you are somewhere trying to build a house or a road or and. But in geometry, that's where the basic beginning of whatever that has to do with construction have started. So we are here then to learn and understand how the whole construction word actually started and how do we link it with the maths. Stay tuned, the mathematicians, and the objectives of today then we need to make sure that by the end of this session we can then accurately construct a triangle and using a ruler, compass, or a protractor. So make sure that we can use those to make sure that we can actually construct whatever shape that we need to. But today we will focus only on a particular triangle. And also we need to know how to investigate the angles through construction. How can we say that the sum of the angles equals 180 degrees inside the triangle? And how do we then construct those angles? All right. Then these are the tools we spoke about. As I said, one of the tools that we are going to use or that you need to have with you is the ruler. So I have my ruler there, which is what I'm going to use. I have my compass, which is what I'm going to use. So this is my compass there, which you should have it with you. It has to come from the instrument, and I do have my protractor as well. That is my protractor there. I have that, and also you will have your pencil, your paper, and your eraser. My paper is just right here, my pencil is this one, and my eraser is as well with me. So we need all this to make sure that we can do what we have to do when it comes to construction. All right, so let's look at this example and we do it step by step. Remember, I always tell you that when you want to be successful in maths, you have to do things with me or with your teacher. So don't just say this is a teacher problem and you move on. As we go through it, we have to do it together for you to successfully understand this. All right, so let's analyze what we are given and follow the steps of what need to be done. Here we're told that we have to construct ABC, and in this case we're told that it's going to be a scalene triangle, and a scalene triangle is a triangle that have no side equal, either will the angles be equal. So all the sides are not equal and all the angles are not equal, and we are given the length where AB equals 10 centimeters, AC equals 7 centimeters, as well as BC, which is equals to 6 centimeters. So the first step that we are going to follow is that you need to use your ruler. So you have your ruler at hand. Obviously, you would have your paper down, and as well as you're going to have your pen or pencil that you are drawing with, and you're going to just draw a 10 centimeter, which then will become your AB. So you'll measure it nicely like that, and then you draw it. So since I don't have my a ruler or the proper grid with me, I'm just going to draw it here so that you have that baseline that we need. So if I draw my 10 centimeter, ideally that is what I have there, and I come and label the sides, or I label the A and B, so that is what I have as my 10 centimeter like that. So they say use your ruler and just draw a 10 centimeter. So then you have to use a compass then to measure that 10 centimeter as well and on the ruler, and then you can be able to then use the compass to get it right. So what do? You open your compass and you take your ruler like that, and then you measure from 0 up until where 10 centimeter is like that, and then you can then use your compass. So you put your ruler down and then you measure that from there, and then you can be able to draw using that compass, right? So if I have this, what I'm going to do is I can stand in any place of this, and I can then come and mark up. So if I stand here if I stand here on my A, I can then, since I have 10, so if this is where A is, let's just mark it up. So that is where my A is. And since I have 10, I can be able to stand there, and then I can mark there like that. And that will then become my B. So what I did without changing my compass, I can do the same standing on B and then just marking up there as an arc on A. So that's what we use the compass to be. And we already have our radius, which we have measured to be 10. All right. Then the next step, which is what we have already done here, you can then use the same ruler and the same compass that you have, but now you need to then look for what it was given to us to have our AC to be in 7. So you can use the same compass, you measure with your ruler as well, but now you're no longer doing 10, you are doing 7. So make sure that you stand at 0 and then you measure with your pencil there like that, and then you have your 7 just like that. Then you leave it like as it is in there, and then you follow the steps as it is. So if you check what you do here, you now stand at A, and then if you have measured your 7, so let's say this is my 7, which yours will be the real 7, then you stand here and then you draw an arc like that, right? So that is how you have done your 7. You had stand on A, and then you draw the arc like that on the top, and then you leave it. After you did that, you can then use the same compass. But now because you want to find your other side, you have to measure then for it to be 6. Remember, we have 10, 7, and 6. So you need to measure it to be 6. So what are you going to do? Same thing. Have your ruler, go there, stand at 0, and then measure this one or reduce then your compass to be at 6. After you reduce it to be 6, which mine I can reduce it like that, then I have my 6, stand on B now, and then you can quickly just do another arc like that. So when I do all that, I am able then to say, okay, that is where my 2 arcs are meeting, and that is where I call the point of intersection. So those 2 arcs are giving me another point that I can then call it point C. So if you check now, that means I have my AC and I have my BC. So I already know that my AB, according to the first instruction that we had, my AB is 10 centimeters. So we can actually say that. And I know that my AC, it was said to be 7 centimeters, as well as my BC, it's going to be 6 centimeters. Now, how do I get it completely? To complete it as a triangle, I would then have to join them. I have to join my lines like they are. So if I use my ruler, which is, you guys will have the ruler. If you use your ruler, just put it like this, and then you join from A, C to B. Then you will have your line BC, as well as if you join from A to C, then you will have then your line AC as you are using the ruler. So basically that is what you do when you are constructing triangle, which the triangle that we are having here is a scalene triangle. Guys, have you got that? So step number 1, you draw your line, and that line will have to be one of the lines that you have. So you can draw your line. If they tell you that the line that you are drawing is, let's say they say you are drawing a line that is 5, then you just have to make it a little bit bigger, and then you add what you have to add and make sure that you can measure them like that, like we did. So you draw your straight line, you stand on one side, you create the arc on the other line with the same radius, you stand on the other side, and then you create your other arc. So you stand here, this is where the first step was, then you create your arc, and you stand here, you create the arc on the other side, then you start, for you to create the other sides of the triangle, you then follow the information that is given to you, and that in this case you will stand on one point to create an arc, which is that one, and when you stand on the other point, which is B, you can then create that arc, and after that you just take your ruler and then you construct like that. You just make sure that you have your full triangle just like that. Easy, right? Okay, so there's a typo there. There's supposed to be 10 centimeter. That is the error in typing, which you guys can follow, and you understand that can happen, right? This is normal, human beings. But anyway, so this is what you do. The steps that you follow is what you have. So you need your ruler, you need your compass, and for you to make sure that you can do the construction of a triangle. So with a ruler and a compass, you can be able to construct a triangle like that. All right. Okay, so let's see if we can be able to do this by ourselves without any help. So I am going to leave you guys for a few minutes so that you can do this by yourself, following the instruction that I just gave now. You guys need to be able to do for you to understand the maths. And remember to always subscribe to Maski TV to get more of this thing, because this is what we do. We teach you and we guide. We always here to make sure that you get what you deserve in terms of anything educationally that majority of us did not get, right? See you after the break. Stay tuned and let's do the question. Okay, so let's see what we did. I'm very sure that you had your own work that you have completed. I wish we had a way for you to send us the screenshot, but you can always put it on the chat in Maski TV, as you are actually one of the most important person in Maski TV, and keep on subscribing and share the information with other people. All right, so before we can actually look, let's see where we got this. I hope I have the book. I don't think so. But then that is coming from one of our nice book, which is a classroom mathematics. That is where we got this activity. Very, very nice. And you can then be able to follow as much as you want. So classroom mathematics is one of the books that is actually just looking more like this. So in this case, I am just going to show you how it's written so that you can be able to look for it and make sure that you get that. So this is our classroom mathematics kind of a series which can help you to actually get this. Not only that, we have quite a lot of the books that can also help you. We have Today, which is one of our book. We do have many Spot On, the Platinum, which is most of you what you are having in at your classroom, and we do have X Kit as well, which many questions are there for us to be able to get what we want. Okay, so let's do this question together. This was taken out in Classroom, which you can be able to purchase online, and make sure that you are not left behind, because the questions there, they are very clear and explained very well, as I am doing right now. All right, so the question says, construct a triangle ABC. So this is what we want to construct, and we're given the values. AB is 6, AC is 4, and BC is 5. So you are going to follow the same procedures which I think you did as you are busy with this. So what do you do first? It's you draw a line. So you can draw a straight line. Then you can just, let's draw it. You just draw your own straight line like that. And then after drawing the straight line with your ruler, you put the ruler aside. But remember, you have to use both the ruler and the compass together for you to get to what you are looking for. So what do we do first? We're going to start with AB. So if you look, they say that AB, it's going to be 6. So it doesn't matter really where do I put AB. I can start by putting AB on the side, but I always just prefer to start on the horizontal plane, and that makes sense for me to move like that. Then what you do is you take your compass and you look at you take your ruler together with the compass. Now I have my ruler, I have my compass, then I stand where there is 0 until where it's 6, right? That's how I measure it in there. Then I have my 6 like this. Then I can now come and stand in one side or any point of the book where I have, but I decide always to stand where I can be able to relate. So I am going to mark this point A so that I can stand there as my point A, and then I can just go and draw an arc. And where I draw the arc, I am going to call that point B. Okay, let's fix that. Where I draw the arc, that is where I'm going to call it point B. So that is actually what is happening there. So let's remove that, and then let's draw our arc properly. So we do have the arc there. Let's do it. There we go. Then we call this point our point B. That is going to be my 6, right? But remember, for you to be safe, you also have to stand on B, and then you draw the same arc on A. So this from A to B, it's going to be your 6 centimeters. So that is where I have my 6 centimeters like that. You do the same. You can start with BC or with AC, but ensure that you follow the rules of what you have. So with AC, I can actually start by having my ruler and my compass. Do the same, stand there, and then reduce this to be 4. Right, so when you reduce it to be 4 like that, let's reduce it, that is my 4, then I can come and stand where there is A, because I want to have AC, and then I can draw my arc like that, right? So that is my 4. Then I go the same way, go back to my ruler with my compass, and then I measure 5. Then after I measure my 5, then I'm going to stand on B because I want BC, and then I will then put my arc like that. So let's see, I can get my arc like that, and that then become my C point, right? Then after I have that, you can then use your ruler to join them together. So when you use your ruler, you just join this, and they will give you a very nice triangle using a ruler like that. Easy, right? Then you can then label them. So we do say that AC, it's 4 centimeters, and then BC, it's 5 centimeters. So that is how we have constructed the first one, and I'm very sure that you guys can be able to construct the other one just like that. If you made a mistake, now this is easy. You can be able to do the same with the other one, and just make sure that whenever they give you this kind of questions, you are able to first put your horizontal line, use it as a reference point, and at least label one point between the two that they give. In this case, would have labeled A first, and then you go to B. So in this case, you can label P first, and then you can go and have your Q. Just make sure that you don't mix them. As you label them, you write them down as we did here. So that is how you get into this, and that's how you make sure that you do the questions right properly. All right, we can quickly just draw the other one. Just remember that your main thing is to get your straight line correctly first. So we can draw our PQ. So I draw just a normal straight line, and I come here and I just label it P. So when I do that, I label that P. What will happen then is I am going to stand on that P. That's why I'm using it as a reference. I'm going to start standing on the P, and then I measure with a ruler my 8, right? Stand there, and then I just measure with a ruler. Then I get my 8 like that. So where I did that is where I'm going to put Q. Then I can stand with the same measurement, stand there, and then just draw my arc on the Q. Then I have my PQ like that, right? After that, I will use a ruler again, then measure my 5 in PR. So I would have measured it on the ruler, and that is 5. Because it's PR, it will start at P. Then I just do a mark up everywhere or anywhere on top there like that, which is my arc. Then I would have then to make it 6, which is a little bit of more than what I had as 5. Stand on P and then draw my arc like that, right? Then that means I now have my point, what is that? R, not C. C have starting to be a static thing on my my head. So that is R, right? So then after you have that, you then use your ruler to join them properly, and then you just say R with Q as well as R with P. Right, remember, mine is not drawn up to sketch or up to accurately, but yours can be drawn like that because you'll be having your ruler and you'll be working properly with what you have. So this is what you have. Just always remember to label whatever that was given. So if you make a mistake, you can be able to remember that this is not correct and how do you correct it. So PR, it's 5 centimeters and QR is 6 centimeters. Voila, we have our triangle, and that is how we deal with triangles. Now, that was when you are just doing triangles, and that's how you can deal with triangles. The similar approach can be taken when you are dealing with angles alone, as long as those angles are also for a triangle. So you can then use the ruler as well as compass to draw a line, which is the first step of what we have been doing. So now we want to try and look at the angles. Then let's draw our straight line, which is you will use a ruler to do so. You're now familiar with that, so you can be able to do that. So we draw the straight line with a ruler, and we have to measure that 8. So as we are measuring it at that point, what we are going to do then is to just label 1 point and then we measure. So if I label this A, I can then use my compass and my ruler, measure 8 on it with the ruler. Remember, the ruler is one of the things that you need to get used to it. As you measure like that, then you measure your 8 right this way, and then you can stand where you said is A, and then you just mark up there, right? Do the same with the same compass radius, stand on the other side, and then you mark up there. Then you have your B, and that means now you have your AB equals 8 centimeters. First step. Now, your second step now involves something. Why does it involve something? Because you want to measure the angle. So because you want to construct the angle, you then now have to do it differently. So that's where your protractor comes in. So your protractor comes in, but what do you do with it? You're going to stand on the point of A. If you look at it, you stand on the point of A and make sure that as you stand on the point of A, your 90 degrees is represented there at A, and then you count backward. How are you counting backward? Because this line AB is your line of reference. So when you count, you're starting here as you have 0, you have 10, you have 20, you have 30, you have 40, and you have 50. So when I put it like this, as making sure that my 90 degrees is there, then I'm going to come and mark up where my 50 is from the protractor. And then from that, I can then now draw a straight line or join with a ruler to make sure that I have my straight line there. So when you are using your ruler nicely, you can then come and join this line from there to the dot like that, or even you can try to extend it like that. It doesn't matter, so that when you have your combination of the two, you are able to get what you want. So here we just have measured an angle that is 50 degrees, right? So we have measured a 50-degree angle there. We can actually just label that so that we don't forget. So the angle that we have here, it's going to be 50 degrees. So you can see I'm moving from the horizontal line going up the way I was counting until where the error is, right? So it's moving from my horizontal line going up in my protractor to make sure that I can count properly there. So that's how it's done there. Then after that, we can then do the similar thing, but now we're using the same protractor. You're going to stand on B, make sure that 90 and the point of B is actually on the straight line like that. But what you are counting that, it's now you are looking for the angle that is 75. So for you to do that, you do the same. You count from my left and you say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and then 75 will just be between 80 and 70. So that is where 75 will be. And what is it that you are going to do now? You're going to take your ruler and then you join that properly like that. So let's see. You can take your ruler and then you now join from there to there, and then you go straight up like that. So mine might not be as accurate as yours will be because my screen is very sensitive, but this is the procedures that you follow, and I can now label this one C. So I now have my two angles, 50 and 75 degrees. So you can see these are my angles. Remember how we are reading? We start from what we have and we go up like that. So when we count it like that, that's how you have calculated your 75 degrees, and make sure that you label it like that. So now, what if we were asked to find the remaining angle or the angle C? What will we do? So in context, whenever you're looking for the sum of the angles of a triangle, you always just make sure that the addition of all of them is 180 degrees. That is the rule that we have to follow. So for me to find the angle C, which I don't know, I would have just say angle A, which is my first angle which I was given as 50, plus angle B plus angle C must be equal to 180 degrees. This is geometry. There's always a reason of why are you saying that. What is the reason for that? So that is because it's the angles that are inside the triangle. So we can say that is the sum of angles in a triangle. So the sum of angles in a triangle, they add up to 180 degrees. So we can do the math and start substituting. So we have 50 there, we have 75 there, we don't know C, which is what we are looking for, and all of them equals 180 degrees. So then we can just do the algebra. Remember that if I have values on the left, I want to move them to the right, I literally just use the opposite sign of it, which is the additive sign of it. For example, here with 50, I'm going to use minus 50. So that means I'm going to do that in both sides of my equation. So I'm going to negative 50 there. And then with the 75 as well, since it's plus, I'm going to say minus 75 like that. And then you can use your calculator quickly for you to get the value of C. Easy, right? Because you can then use those 2 points to end up knowing what the angle C is. So that will be 180 minus 50 minus 75, and that will give us a 55 degrees. So that is how we will then have found our angle 50. But all this, which is important as we recap, is the fact that you can construct a triangle when you have a given angles and a side. So you have two given angles and you have one side, so you can be able to construct that, and it's very easy for us to do that. After this, one other question can come and ask you, now please measure the size of AC. What do? You just take your ruler and then you measure that. So for you to know how long is AC, it can then come from our ruler. So if we have our ruler like this, and then we just put it up like that and measure, you'll be able to know how many centimeters that will be, right? So that's what you can do. You just put it in the thing and then you measure it, then you write it down. If they ask you what BC can be, you also just measure it like that. So you can find the unknown angle, and you can also find the unknown side through measurement, and that's what construction is all about. As always, I always have something for you guys, because I believe in you, and I know that you guys can do more than what you think you can. So there's one just question that I think you guys must take away and make sure that you can do. As well, it is found in a classroom textbook, and then you can be able to do. You can see here, they're saying construct ABC with B angle A. I think we had an error there. It has to write as, let me write it properly. We have B angle AC equals 55 degrees, as well as C angle BA, which is equals to 35 degrees. And we are given that AB, which is a side, will be then 70 millimeters. Remember that millimeters and centimeters are not the same. So if they say 70 millimeters, that simple means you have 7 centimeters. So make sure that you look at your ruler and check the side that they are asking you to measure with. Start with A, as we did with the rest, and then make sure that you measure your angles from the reference baseline, which in this case I always call it baseline, but that is your horizontal line. So that is where you start. You have your A, then you measure your B, and then you can then take it from there for you to make sure that you have everything that need to be done. So that is how you can answer this question. In summary, you can actually be able to find this using both your protractor and your compass as well. There's a very nice summary and example in our classroom textbook, which we can actually, you can actually find how they do things and how far do they get into it and what strategies are they teaching you to be able to use this information to make sure that you get to the answer properly. So please get yourself a classroom mathematics textbook from Mascumilla Learning, as well as make sure that you subscribe to our channel Maski TV so that you can get all the information you need and more. You can know when your lesson is started, or even when we are done, you can be able to get what you need to get, and you can be notified all the time where something new comes into the platform. So please like and subscribe into our channel. But when you are busy studying as well, try to make sure that you can also go and ask Maski for the help that you need. Maski will help you step by step in what you don't understand and how you need to do it. Remember to take the number down, 072 091 0388. That is the number that you can use. Save on your WhatsApp and say hi to Maski, and Maski will always guide you wherever you need help, just like Teacher Tandy. Thank you so much for watching us at Mascumilla Learning and Maski TV. We always love to stay with you the long time, evening until morning, but it's not possible because we have to work with many of you, and we believe that you also have to rest so you can continue with your examination. Please continue joining us as you subscribe to Maski TV, and we love you. We'll stay with you. Please make sure that you join us next week and more and more. See you when we see you. Bye.
And now we enter our next exciting chapter with the launch of Maskiverse, an inspiring trio of innovations, our AI-powered learning companion, captivating TV content, and a vibrant playground for interactive learning, and our own dedicated app, all coming together beautifully to deliver learning outcomes through technology.